like a lot of times the healthcare providers, we may have a confirmation bias because we go to look for something, we find the thing we're looking for, we stop looking for everything else. We stop looking for everything else. Everything else becomes a, like, hey, you know what? I already found the one thing I was looking for. Like, so you must be good, right? You must be good. And unfortunately, you're not good. Hey, did you know that 10% of medical diagnoses are missed? And I mean missed by some of, the most skilled, caring doctors in the world. And still 10% of these diagnoses and diseases and issues get missed by like a routine doctor. And millions more people go unnoticed, undetected when they have a problem. And the reason why I think this video is so important, right? And again, in our series, and what medicine has gotten wrong with patients, right? What has medicine done and got patients wrong? When we talk about like, how is it that you could be seeing the doctor's doing the test, and they just don't get the right answer? Like, how did you get to that point, right? Where you need the second opinion, right? Second opinions don't come out of nowhere. Right. Like, no one gets a second opinion and is batting 0%. Sometimes the second opinion finds the thing. Imagine that, right? Your first opinion, right? Doctor does the test, does all their labs, and maybe they don't find the answer they're looking for. And you say, nah, doc, I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm still having symptoms. I'm going to go get a second opinion. Hopefully that doctor isn't offended. They shouldn't be, but hopefully they're not. And you get that second opinion, and guess what? That second opinion finds the issue. It's why so many doctor-patient relationships begin to break down, right? Because there's this understanding that, like, oh, my doctor should know all the answers. And when they don't know all the answers, guess what? I can't go to the doctor. I got to shoot him out of there, right? So today we're going to talk about what is it as a patient to have to advocate for yourself, understanding that, you know what, there are going to be some things your doctors miss. Like, even when they are trying, there are going to be some things your doctors miss. So, it would not be me if I didn't say, remember to like and subscribe for this Medicine Monday series, as well as all the other things we do on this channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. But today we're going to talk about what is it and what is the process that results that sometimes causes your doctor to kind of just, I kind of messed up. I didn't know, or I missed it. Like, how do we get to that point? So as a practicing physician, I've been practicing for over a decade now. I've been taking care of patients in nursing homes, hospitals, long-term care facilities, rehab facilities. I've even seen some patients at home. I've been taking care of patients everywhere. And it's not out of the ordinary that you run into a story or two where, hey, doc, like I did what I was supposed to do. I got my routine checkups. I got my blood work. I got my lab tests. And, the doctor said everything was fine, and everything wasn't fine. Right. And I can hear the frustration. I could hear the anger, the sadness in those patients, because they're like, all right, what else was I supposed to do? Like, I thought if I went to the doctor, like, the answer would be there and we'd be all good. And that's why I always hark on this aspect of how medicine, like, is this like weird science of recognition of, just kind of like being able to kind of memorize and kind of like know and put yourself in that patient's eyes and patient's shoes and figure out, like, all right, what is going on? And for the majority of the time, we get it right. But in the times we don't get it right, they do a TED Talk on us, right? I talk about this all the time, that the amount of people who will have a TED Talk centered around, my doctor didn't listen to me, or I went to 20 doctors and the 13th non-doctor said do this and it was right. Like, the amount of people who have like TED Talks and origin stories and now they're like speakers and stuff like that, have that, it's comical to me. But I understand, because I know that a lot of times you're not going to hear the 90% of people who everything went right. You're never, because when you have a good result, you usually don't scream, "Hey, I had a great result." You again, this is what Yelp is for, right? It's not for the 90% of people, right? It's for the 10% of people who didn't have the great result, so they can say, "Hey, I didn't have the great result," right? And let people know it, right? Which is why it's interesting. You'll have some like a lot of outpatient doctors do this. I wish we did it as inpatient doctors. A lot of outpatient clinics almost have a process where they are nurturing their patients to leave good reviews, right? Because you have to actually coach people to leave a good review versus the people who don't need no coaching whatsoever to leave the bad one, right? So that's kind of here where we're at, right? So again, I hear their pain points, their frustrations, and you ask yourself, all right, was the doctor bad? Was the doctor not listening? Like, what was it that caused the doctor to miss, right, the domino that needed to solve my problem, right? Because the doctor pushed over a whole bunch of dominoes. Got pushed over, but they didn't push over the right one. And it wasn't until I went to the second opinion or the third opinion and boom, I found the right one. Or I listened to Dr. Pierre and he said, "Oh, this is how you should advocate." I did the advocating and now I got the result I was looking for, right? Like that sometimes happens, right? So let's break down what it is that sometimes causes your doctors to miss the result, right? Which again can sometimes end up in harm, right? One of the, and these are three big reasons that I think is important for my healthcare advocates to kind of understand. The first one, right? I like this, is considered cognitive overload. Now, we had prior episodes where I talked about the ER doctor and they got to see like 150 patients a day because they do, right? Because they're overloaded with the amount of patients that are there because a lot of y'all don't recognize when to go to emergency room, when to go to primary care doctor. Again, that's the prior episode. Go check that episode out. But a lot of times when you're seeing so many patients, especially in a short period of time, which they do, sometimes all of the cylinders of knowledge aren't firing, right? Like we're typically our smartest, like after testing, we're fresh. But over time, right, when we get further away from the test where we have to know everything, we get kind of siloed into knowing the things we take care of, right? So you have outpatient doctors who they do their outpatient thing. They take care of their outpatient thing all the time. That's not a problem. They knock that out. You put them in the hospital, they're like, whoa, like I haven't seen this since residency, right? Like it's one of those things where when you have this cognition of like, I take care of my patients, typically when they come in with this problem, I do A, B, C, and D, and they do it. But the problem is they don't do J and K, right? And a lot of times it takes the second opinion to get down the letter, down the alphabet of things to do before the answer is done. So a lot of times, there's this, like this is what I do. I've seen 50 people. I've seen 100 people like this. This is what I always do. And again, remember, not one size does not fit all. So again, yeah, the 99 people, when I did that, it was right. But it was that 100th person where I needed to keep going down the alphabet and I did it. Right. And they went to the second opinion or third opinion, or they end up in the hospital or worse. Right. Like, and nothing I could assure you, as a former program director, nothing keeps a resident up at night second guessing themselves when there's a bad result, right? Because they're like, I thought I did everything, right? I pressed the right buttons. I gave the right medication and the result still was not there, right? The result ultimately, because I talk about this all the time in the hospital setting, you are not guaranteed to leave the hospital. It is a blessing every time you leave the hospital. I do not, as a hospitalist, I don't take for granted when I can discharge my patient home. I don't take for granted that case because I understand that it is not guaranteed for you to go home when you walk into the hospital. It is a battle that I have won when I can get you out of the hospital, because that means this isn't your final resting place. So when you're talking to residents, nothing eats them up more when they thought they did everything they could and they still don't get the result, right? And so that's when we think about this aspect of like, oh, my doctor missed something. A lot of times it don't really be what your doctors miss. A lot of times what was going to happen was going to happen. And even with all of the testing in the world, all of the imaging in the world, What was going to happen was going to happen. And it's tough for patients to hear. It's definitely tough for providers to hear, right? Because a lot of us, right, think we're superhuman, that we should be able to solve and save everyone. And it takes, well, part of our training to recognize that we can't, right? I think like the simple, like I had a patient when I was in residency, they came in with constipation, right? That was the chief complaint, constipation. And that patient ended up not living during their hospital course, right? Right. And I could go through the whole detail of what happened, but like, think about this, right? I came to the ER because I was constipated, and I figured I'm gonna just go to the ER. I'm constipated. They're gonna treat me. Somehow I get admitted to the hospital. Somehow medical issues happen over and over and over again because I'm admitted to the hospital because of constipation, and I don't end up leaving the hospital, right? Like, so again, I want us to walk through and understand that the blessings that occur, right, when the doctor gets it right, like it's a lot of it is fate, right? So when it doesn't happen, right, when you're in that 10% where it gets missed, it's not as if the doctor maliciously did something. It was that, hey, you know what? Maybe I didn't go down the full alphabet, or maybe I went down the full alphabet and it wouldn't have mattered. Time pressure is a big one. Time pressure is a big one, whether you're outpatient, whether you're in an emergency room. There's so many people to see. Maybe something did happen. Maybe something got missed. Maybe a history question that I would have asked that would have made me jump to letter L and do that test, I didn't ask because I only had 20 minutes to see you because I had a waiting room full of people to see, right? But guess what? The second opinion or third opinion, I've already went through the rest of the alphabet, so now they can start at L, right? For them, L is their A, right? So they like, oh, well, let's just do this test. Oh, boom, I got it. All right, I'm the hero, right? It's so understand that time pressure is important. And then I think this is the big one, right? This is the biggest one that I think definitely spells a lot of the younger physicians, but probably even older too, right? Probably, probably a barbell kind of situation where there's confirmation bias. Oh, you came in with this complaint. I think you got this, right? I do the test result. I do a diagnostic. All right, boom, it was this, boom, go about your day. But guess what? Because I didn't go in deeper, there was something else happening. So maybe I thought you had, a kidney stone. And guess what? Yeah, you got a kidney stone. Yeah, boom, I find the kidney stone. But there's also something sinister as well happening, right? That because I was only looking for the kidney stone and I confirmed the kidney stone, I ignored, the renal cancer or something, right? Like we're just obviously we're spitballing, but think about that. Like a lot of times the healthcare providers, we may have a confirmation bias because we go to look for something. We find the thing we're looking for. We stop looking for everything else. Everything else becomes hey, you know what? I already found the one thing I was looking for. Like, so you must be good, right? You must be good. And unfortunately, you're not good. You're in that 10% where there was something else, right? I needed to go down the alphabet and I didn't go. So I think when I talk about the number one mistake that lands patients in the ER after the doctor misses something, right? Like I think we should. That's a conversation we have to have, right? Like, what's the number one mistake that will have you in the ER because your doctor missed something, right? Like, I think that's important as we kind of segue to what we need to do as the patients to try to avoid being in that 10%. What mistakes can occur, right? Like, what mistake can occur that ends up leading to the ER? These are three caveats that I want us to be on. And I talked about this in some way, shape, or form. Number one, you got to be prepared. You got to be prepared before your visit. Because quite often enough, and remember when I talked about maybe your doctor didn't ask that right question? A lot of times it's because the history that we've gotten doesn't lead us to ask that question. So you may have a series of symptoms that occur, but because you're not writing it down, you're not thinking about it. By the time you get to the doctor, you're like, oh, you know what? I forgot to tell the doctor that. And the thing you forgot to tell your doctor would have been the thing that would have led your doctor to the right direction. Would have been the thing that would have made your doctor say, hey, you know what? This is what the problem is, right? But because you weren't prepared, you didn't have your symptoms written down, You didn't have all of your ducks in order before your visit. By the time you got to the visit, you kind of forgot what the issue was, and you like this was. I think this happened, and yeah, I might have felt this way. Yeah, my stool might have been a different color. Like all these things that like would have ringed to your doctor. Oh, I need to go do something different. I thought you were having indigestion, but you told me your stool is a different color. You got to go see the gastroenterologist, right? There's a problem, right? Like these are the things when I talk about that being prepared for your visit is so important because guess what? Now you put your doctor in a greater position and more importantly, put yourself in a better position so something don't get missed. Number 2, ask questions, never assume. Always ask questions. Always ask questions. I see my comments every week. Every week I see my comments and I see questions and I always say, hey, make sure, when you see a doctor, ask that question, right? It's important. Never assume your doctor knows what's going on. Never assume your doctor understands what's going on. Always ask the questions. When your doctor says, do this test, always ask, why do I need to do this test? What are you looking for? Don't assume that that's just the case, right? It's usually never clear. And I think last but not least, right, following up. Follow up. The amount of people who get what we say lost to follow up in the hospital, and then end up in the hospital because they had a heart attack because they didn't follow up with their doctor who said, come see me in 2 weeks. Let's recheck your blood pressure, because they didn't follow with the doctor who says, hey, I need you to go do this imaging exam. And for some reason you couldn't do the imaging exam. So you kind of forgot about it. Then 6 months later, you know what, that x-ray that you would have got would have showed you had cancer. Like the amount of follow up that does not occur can't keep occurring. We can't not in 2026 and beyond. Right? Follow up relentlessly with your doctor. If your doctor says, hey, we're going to check on this in 2 weeks, you check up on the 2 weeks and you say, hey, doc, remember when you said we were about to check up on that thing in 2 weeks? Let's get the checking, right? Like that's what you got to do. Follow up. It's so important because these are things, right? Assuming your doctor remembers everything is a myth I want y'all to get out of there. They don't remember everything. They don't know everything. Especially in this day and AI, man, the amount of just medical information that's out there, right? There's a lot of information overload, right? Remember we talked about this cognition overload, right? There's a lot of information overload that is occurring. And not only is it occurring for y'all, but it's occurring for your doctors as well, right? Your doctors are feeling a little bit of information overload at times, right? Like, which is why they stay siloed and say, hey, you know what? This is what I do. I take care of patients here. I don't take care of patients. Like people think I'm weird because I take care of patients in a nursing home and I take care of patients in the hospital. They're like, how do you remember all this? How do you know like when it's appropriate to this? And like, I don't know. I just do, right? I enjoy it. I just do, right? So understand your doctors don't remember everything and they don't know everything. I got a pretty good memory, but like, again, I don't remember everything. So sometimes they got to jog my memory. Shout out to my nurses for doing so. And then speaking just random, like, I don't know if you guys can see this cup here. One of my nursing home facilities, I'm a medical director, gave it to me. So I always wanted to make sure they get a little highlight whenever I get a chance. Thinking online symptom checkers can replace the medical visit. I could probably stop the show right there. I could probably stop the show right here, right? Y'all should not be thinking that these online symptom checkers that will eventually tell you got cancer will replace a medical visit, right? That studies show online tools miss serious problems 40 to 60% of the time. That's why they always tell you have cancer. Because they're like, all right, we missed this thing about half the time. We're going to make sure that you think you might have cancer, so you go see someone like Dr. Pierre. And hesitating to push back respectfully. Too many patients don't speak up when it feels off, right? They don't speak up. They say, hey, doc, I don't know about this, man. This testing is not getting results. I'm getting like they don't want to speak up. They just go and like, all right, let me go get the second opinion, third opinion, right? Because I don't really, and that typically lies in like having not the greatest relationship with your doctor. So that's where that falls in line, right? Just not speaking up when you need to speak up for kind of what's going on, right? So those are things I definitely want you to avoid in this journey, right? Because medicine is a journey, right? And it's a two-part journey, your doctor and yourself, right? And there are some things you are going to miss. Your doctor's going to be able to kind of hold you down and say, oh, this is what's going on. There's some things your doctors are going to miss that you got to be able to say, hey, you know what? This is what's going on, right? This is what I got going on for me, right? So understand it is a journey. It's a two-person journey, your doctor and yourself, and y'all gotta walk it together. Y'all got to walk it together. Sometimes you might have to pull your doctor. Sometimes your doctor has to pull you. But like y'all going to get through this journey, especially if you want to be healthy right? If you want to be healthy, right, you got to get through this journey, right? Very, very important from that standpoint there, right? So before we get out of here, right? Before we get out of here, to conclude, remember, like and subscribe. We love y'all. Appreciate all the likes. We appreciate the subscribes. Share this out to a few friends, especially in our series of what medicine is getting wrong with patients, right? Couple things, right? Remember, even the best doctors miss. Even the best, I've missed, right? I got a decade of experience. I've taken care of thousands of patients. I miss things, right? Like I'm not superhuman. I wish I was, but I recognize that I miss things. So that's why the effort of making sure I got good nursing, good patient care, the patients can trust and endure. Like it's a team effort, right? Because even Dr. Pierre can miss things. He's educating y'all here, but even Dr. Pierre can miss things. And don't let frustration or doubt keep you from pushing for more, right? So if you got to get the second opinion because the first opinion is kind of hard-headed, get the second opinion, right? That first opinion might went through A through E, but you might need letter J and K, right? You might need letter J and K to be looked at first to be confirmed that like everything is good, right? So understand you can be your own advocate. You must be your own advocate, especially when it comes to your healthcare. Because again, you never want to leave a doctor's office anxious and confused. So what do we say? When you're anxious, you're confused. When you're confused, you make up stories, you got cancer, right? Like that's how that usually goes, right? So again, I am yours truly, Dr. Barry Pierre, host of Medicine Mondays. I can't wait to see you guys next week.